All right. So, if you are being community harassed, gang stalked, whatever you'd like to call it, harassed in the workplace, the first things you want to do is personally confront these people, whether it's your neighbors or friends or family or locals in the area, local workers, stores, gas stations, things like that. Once they're informed that you notice what they're doing and you'd like them to stop, and like myself and others, if you have a cane or a service animal or an ESA animal, right off the bat for them to continue is a violation of federal law. Federal law prohibits the intentional and willful harassment of disabled individuals and their animals. After you personally confront them and try to be as nice as possible, begin to record their behavior. After that, you can go to their manager, the apartment manager, or your landlord, whatever the case is. If it continues, go to the local police. Continue to record. If it happens again, step up from there if you can, the sheriff, if there is one. If it still continues, you can go to the ADA website, that's the Americans with Disabilities Act. And in my case specifically, they'll point you towards the housing development, which is who enforces the Fair Housing Act regulations. And there is a form on the ADA website that takes you to a complaint form. Like I said, whether it's your work or your residence or your family or a business, and that is a DOJ level Department of Justice complaint form. You fill that out, send that in. There's also Ask DOJ and their webmaster email address as well. But the ADA will take you to a Department of Justice complaint form. Once that's done, if it's still continuing, and it probably is at this point, continue to record the behavior, continue to maintain as best you can, being, I wouldn't say personable, but refrain from getting into fights and going beyond raising your voice loud enough for people to hear you. And then after that, in my case, once you're in another state, and in this case 7 states total, but having lived in 3, and this third one's 1,800 miles away from the last residence, over 2,000 miles away from the last residence, you can contact the FBI, because that's interstate stalking. Whoever has put you in this program, once you leave the state, that's interstate stalking. That's another federal law being broken. Okay? And it's also a violation of your constitutional right. 4th Amendment, I believe. And every state has you have the right to live peacefully in your residence without interference, intimidation, or harassment, which I face every single day, whether I leave the apartment, the complex, anywhere I go. All these steps are going to strengthen your case for possible lawsuit or court case. Because as I said, they're violating federal regulations against Americans with disabilities. They're participating in interstate stalking. Like I said, we started in Arizona, then to California, and then every state we drove to and stayed in, between there and here, 7 states total, that's over 2,000 miles. Okay? So, record as much as you can. Everybody's got a smartphone. I have complete and total strangers participating in the exact same behavior in 7 different states, all the way down to somewhere being completely empty and us pulling in. And as I've said before, not only would people all of a sudden pop up out of nowhere and just drive through the rest stop, we're the only ones in the rest stop, completely empty at 10, 11 at night, all of a sudden people just drive through with their music blaring, not stop, just drive through, burn out, have people all of a sudden walk by at 11 at night. Can they do that? Yeah, but there was nobody on the streets when we're passing through the rest of the town. And have 4 trains going back and forth, literally back to back to back to back, at 10:45 at night, all of a sudden. As I've said before in other videos, you could hear a pin drop. We've had our vehicle tampered with in Texas at a Love's truck stop. When I parked in front of a camera, the next morning there was 2 trucks blocking the view between the camera and my vehicle, and that's the next day the engine completely failed. And the cashier at the Love's in Rockwall, Texas, did innuendo speech and said, "We need all new shit." So again, interstate stalking. We were assaulted in Las Vegas at a TA truck stop in perfect clear view of the camera, and it happened as soon as the security guard left that was parked within 20 feet of that camera as well. Okay, so record everything, do those steps, confront them personally, ask them nicely to stop, inform them of your disability, as I have in all 3 places I've lived. So all 3 places I've lived, just right there, they're violating federal law, their neighbors are violating federal law, their maintenance staff is violating federal law, and anybody else, groundskeepers, cable people, the pool man, if they were doing noise campaigns, illegally entering your residence and damaging it, or removing hardware, or just touching your stuff. That all seems petty, but when it happens for years, and you're keeping track, and you've explained the situation, just because they're nice enough to let you keep your deposit or be easy with the fact that your apartment was vandalized while you were moving in between your old apartment and your new apartment, your storage closet was pried into, your 2nd floor window was clearly climbed into with a ladder, and there's greasy fingerprints all over it, and your house smells like paint thinner when you've been gone for 3 weeks, or there's poison in your dog's dish, your dog's water dish, after going in a 1,000-mile loop to make sure you're not losing your marbles, going from Southern California all the way through the state of Arizona, making a big circle up into northern Arizona. Okay, so do all those things, confront them personally, then go to the management of the business or the apartment complex, contact the local police, then contact the sheriff's department, then start talking to the Americans with Disabilities Association and HUD-VASH. Then the ADA will take you to a Department of Justice complaint form, and then after that, if you've moved cities or states, but mostly states, I'd contact the FBI, and I'd also email the Department of Justice separately and let them know it's been happening, not in 1, not in 2, but in 3 states that you've held residence, and in 7 states total, even while you were traveling. And that would really strengthen your court case. And the more footage that you have of these people hovering around you when you park all the way to the back of a parking lot, dressing like you, and it seems light, but when it happens everywhere, I mean, how many red and black travel trailers can there be? How many times do people need to brush up against your vehicle and your vehicle only when it's parked, again, in the furthest spot of the parking lot near no other vehicles? And if you dare say anything to them or the management, you get gaslighted and argued with and dismissed and told it's not happening, just like this morning. Okay, so that's what's been done. The local police, the sheriff, the ADA, HUD-VASH, so get the VA involved if you're a veteran, the Department of Justice, do the Department of Justice complaint form, contact the FBI, because that's interstate stalking. That's a federal case, as far as I'm concerned. I'm no lawyer, but sounds about right, doesn't it? It's no longer a city and state issue. It's 1, 2, 3 different states, very provable over the last year and a half in this case, and 7 total, and I have footage of all 7 states of different occurrences. People entering the back of the petrified forest, coming in the back entrance, parking right by you, taking pictures of you, and then when you start to mention that they've come in through the back entrance, then they leave again. So they paid $20 to come 6 miles in, photograph you, hover around you, and then leave with their kids, as opposed to starting at the front and driving 20 miles. I've had that happen. They literally came in off the highway, got right by me, 2, 3 different people. I've got them on camera. Stand by you, look at you, do all the dumb, all this bullshit, all the stupid adjustment movements that are involved in gang stalking, and there's that song, and then leave. So and these people do get paid. whether it's minimum wage or it's gift cards. I've heard a couple different stories, but they make anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 a month in some cases, depending on how many people they're doing and what the case is. And you are on a watch list. A fusion center, somebody's put you on a watch list for a fusion center, which passes information to all the local law entities, law enforcement entities. How can you be on a list? How can you be broke when you have no other bills? Because that's part of it. It's financial decimation. I'm putting a whole new engine in my truck that I just bought in October. And it happened in Rockwall, Texas at the Loves. We need all new shit. And the next day, boom. New clutch, new flywheel, new motor. So that's what you do. And that is definitely notify the FBI after that many states and that many occurrences. That's what you do.